Okay, so it is all about getting ready for pigs coming back onto the farm. We are really excited and we've got a lot we need to get done. So here this morning, it is, what is it, October 24th, 2020, and sun is just starting to come up. Man, sweatshirt time. I love that and really looking forward to the cooler days, but you guys need to check out just this beautiful sunrise. We did get some planting done this week. We actually got probably the last 3 plants in the ground for the fall. It was 3 blackberry plants, and I'll show you those here when we get a chance. But first thing we need to do is some chicken chores this morning. The good thing about this time of year is there's not a whole lot to do. They don't have standing water and that kind of thing. And we've got a lot going on today. Mainly, we're getting ready for pigs. We're gonna be getting their kind of pig run together today. And we also have their enclosure being delivered today. And Roger, thank you, looking forward to that enclosure. We've got some work to do on it to get it ready for next week, but all that's gonna come together. But before we get started on that stuff, let's knock out some of these chores. So one of the big advantages to having chickens, obviously you get eggs, which is fantastic, but also you get this amazing fertilizer. So you can see that right there. I have some new chicken manure that we just scraped out. You watched me do that. And well, you actually watched Lori do that. All I did was scoop it onto the pile. But as I get down here closer, you'll see, if you guys have ever used Bioflora crumbles, we talk about those all the time. We've used those as well. We really like those as a natural organic fertilizer that helps to build soil and soil biology. And that's essentially what it's made from, is this right here. So it's just composted, aged chicken manure, which is essentially what we're doing here with this pile. So you can see we've got quite a bit of it here, and that's because you can see there, we've got quite a few fruit trees that are gonna need it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those stirred in. We'll water it in a little bit, but before I do that, I want to show you guys something that Laura and I built this weekend. It was pretty simple. It's right here in the Kumquat area. You can see we just used some basic rabbit fencing and also some small 3-foot stakes that we got from Home Depot to go ahead and get this completely enclosed. We were getting a lot of rabbit damage. In fact, let me climb over this. I can show you here on the Centennial Kumquat, which has just amazing growth on the top, by the way. The tips here are really coming out. You can see there, look fantastic. And the problem is, as you come down here, you can see this whole area here was cut out by rabbits. So not good. We don't like that at all. And so we're going to keep them out of here. Now I have other methods of keeping rabbits out of the farm that I have been implementing here over the last week or two. And those are also very successful. But another shot of it here with the pasture in the background. Now we're gonna do an update on the pasture, probably not today because I don't think we're gonna have time. But as you can see, it's coming in very, very good. We're about a month in, and we are starting to see that there's some areas that are gonna need some overseeding, which we knew. So gotta come back and do that. But I wanna get the rest of these chicken chores here done so that we're ready for that pig enclosure delivery here, hopefully soon. Gone ahead and released this new Gummy Kumquat now that I'm not going to have any rabbit damage that's going to happen on the trunk. And I do have that stake that I'm going to keep on it here probably through the winter time, and I'll kind of test it out. We did have one question or comment on staking trees and the benefits or disadvantages of doing it. And I can tell you, when you have a young tree like this that was in a pot, it's very flimsy at the trunk right now until we have roots established, and I get very, very strong winds that are going to push against this tree here for the next few months. You'll see I don't have the other trees staked. They're just fine on their own, But until this has a chance to spread its roots out and get a firm footing established, I am gonna stake it at least onto this western side to make sure that those really strong winds that come in from this side don't damage this young tree. Obviously, eventually the stake will go, as we typically do with all of our trees, but young fruit trees like this, especially when you're gonna have a lot of wind pressure on a young tree, stake the tree to make sure that it's not gonna break on you. And then of course remove it, because you don't wanna do that long term. Before we get started on the pigs, we have another project we need to finish. You'll see the garden beds there in the background. We actually have one more garden bed that's here for our fall planting, which we plan on doing tomorrow, and hopefully getting that filmed for you guys. We need to finish the last bed and a half or so with the enclosure. So we need to grab some ABC, so I need to get the tractor out, get it over there, and get some ABC filled in, and then get the rest of the bird netting done. So we're gonna knock that out here real quick first thing. That'll give you a shot in the back. We finally have the winter garden beds ready to be planted, and you can kind of get a peek back there at some of the things we're going to be using to amend that soil, because we do need to kind of get that thing up and running quickly in order to have some veggie production here this fall and winter. So we're probably going to get to that tomorrow, because again, focus is on livestock today. One of those things we need to get knocked out before we forget. You'll see Lori back there. That's our brooder. We need to get ready 2 weeks from today. Well, a week from today we'll have pigs. 2 weeks from today we'll have our broiler chickens in that brooder. So we have, you'll see, we had started our new batch of laying hens in there, and we have a really good mix, heavy mix of pine shavings and also manure in there. So a nice heavy layer of chicken manure. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scoop this out, put it into this trash can right there, and we will figure out where we're gonna compost this for the winter. Hopefully we can get that composted down, maybe use some of it in these spring garden beds. So we're gonna go ahead and get to work, get this thing cleared out. That is a trash can full of what will eventually be wonderful compost. So I can't figure out for sure where I want to compost this stuff. I'm thinking, since it's probably going to be in the garden beds, I don't know, maybe even create an end. We're going to do end caps on these beds. So I would normally just put it in place, but I've got to run irrigation. So I haven't quite figured that out. I think I'm just going to get some bricks, create kind of a backstop. This I definitely want to cover, because I want to make sure I get a really, really good compost this winter, and it composts and breaks down really well and turns into soil for us that we can use in the spring. Before we continue on to our pig projects for today, I wanted to show you guys a couple things that we did this week. Unfortunately, we didn't capture them on camera because we were kind of in a rush to get some things done earlier on, but you'll see we have 2 brand new blackberry plants here that don't look like much, but we actually did have our sweet potato right here. We went ahead and harvested that, and you'll see some of the leftovers. So this was a single sweet potato that we put in the ground. We have all of these long roots that we're gonna basically just keep over the winter. And then come January, we'll start probably have some slips out of these guys so we can continue growing those. We did get a couple of good sized little sweet potatoes that we're gonna cook as well. So I'm guessing we had somewhere around 5 to 10 pounds of sweet potatoes that we pulled out of the ground, basically right about there. And then obviously went ahead and got our blackberries placed. Now we have a couple different types of blackberries in here. We got all of these from Rain Tree Nursery online. So this is a Loch Ness blackberry. Again, haven't tried it before. It looked interesting, so we figured we would give this one a shot. And it's right next to a Prime Arc variety. The Prime Arc variety that we got this time is the Freedom, so it is a thornless Prime Arc blackberry. You can see there's not much to them as Lori slides in. They're basically just sticks. So you'll see we have a little bit of growth right here, if you can pick it up on camera. That's brand new. So this was just this stick, so not much to it, but we have new growth that's coming out right there, which is good to see. And then we have the same thing going on with the Prime Arc over here. Again, we have these cages, a little hard to see. This was already there, but this brand new little sprout right there, if you can see behind my finger, maybe hard to pick up, but that is new growth in that blackberry as well. And while we're here in the bed, if Lori wants to slide this way, you'll see these are the acorn squash that we just planted out by seed a few weeks ago, and we already have ants, but we already have some acorn squash that's coming in on these vines here as well. So that's kind of cool to see. Don't know that we'll necessarily get a harvest, but we'll find out. So let's go ahead and slide over here. I want to show you guys the other blackberry variety that you guys watched us build the bed for. So this is the other blackberry variety that we're trying. You guys watched us build this bed, and we didn't do much more as far as amendments. We moved a few more wood chips in here, then we got this planted. Now this variety is a Columbia Giant Thornless, I believe is what it's called. And it's already doing actually very good. It had a lot of new growth on it when it got here. And then at the very tip there, you'll see you have some new leaves that are coming out. Now, from the description on this, these berries are big, like mulberry size big. So I'm looking forward to see that if we can get it to grow well. Growth so far looks pretty good, which is good to see. And it sounds like this one's pretty aggressive when it comes to sending runners out, which is why he's in here in a bed all on its own. So that's kind of what we've got going on here in our berry beds. Mulberries are looking fantastic, but we need to head back to the livestock acre. You'll see the truck behind me here. We need to get some supplies together so we can get our pig enclosure set up today. We are back here on the livestock acre. That's behind me here. Kind of hard to make out the lines themselves as far as where this particular acre of ours is, but it's got some bushes in here, a lot of dead grass from this summer. But what we've been doing is been keeping some of our equipment back here, and one of those things would be down on the ground next to Lori, kind of hard to make out. But those are pig paneling. We've got 8 of those pig panels, which is what we need to get that set up. But the pigs are not going to be back here because we just had free-range cattle coming through here last night, and this is a little too far away from water for us, so we want to get them up closer to the house and keep them back behind the barbed wire. So a few things we're going to grab. We're going to grab the pig paneling, bring it over to where they're going to be, and we also have our pig feeder, which is right there. We are going to be expanding that, or actually doing a new build that's bigger, because we're going to have more pigs this year than we've had before. But for now, especially with piglets, we're going to be okay to go ahead and use that one. So we're going to get this loaded up onto the tractor and get those panels loaded up and get them over onto the property where we're going to have this thing built. Just for reference, we came from back there and we're here on the eastern orchard. So we have the apple trees. You watch Lori and I plant these on this side of the farm, and we're actually going to have the pigs right along here. So what we're going to do is we're going to essentially build an enclosure for them, or a pen for them, that will allow them to have some space. It'll be semi-permanent, so we will be able to move it a couple of times. We'll need to buy some more pig paneling in order to do that. The idea here is this is not where the pigs are normally going to be. They're typically going to be back where we just were. But for this season, at least, they're going to be here. Now, we don't know exactly how many pigs we're going to have yet. That's based on how many we sell. We've already pre-sold a few and waiting to hear back from a few folks to see just how many we're going to have. We're going to get them next Saturday, and we'll talk to you guys and bring you along with when we do. But Lori and I basically are going to start laying this out. Now, we are going to do a video on this. In fact, as crazy as it sounds, The video that we have the most views on is actually a simple pig pen that we built on the old farm. And it was pretty rudimentary, and we're gonna go a lot off of that design when it comes to this, with some expansions and then a better hutch or sleeping quarters or shade, whatever you wanna call it, that we're still waiting for. So I just heard from Roger, he's not gonna be here till this afternoon. So we're gonna get started on this enclosure, but that is gonna be a separate video that we're gonna actually film for you guys to be able to take a peek at that on another day. Well, Lori and I have been going at it all day. The beautiful day today. We're in the 80s. It's overcast, it's breezy, just gorgeous, but we're exhausted. We've been working on the pig enclosure all day. We are almost done with that, but it is getting late. So we need to call it for today and kind of wrap up, and then get back at it tomorrow morning. I think we're gonna bring you with us on Sunday morning this time.